That single act of radical transparency built more trust than 100 perfect projects. He's still my client today. So consistency, competence, transparency. That's the engine. If you are a service entrepreneur trapped by the hustle, you have been sold a lie. The hustle promises freedom, but delivers a prison. I know because I built a successful CPA firm working 16-hour days out of a pantry. I learned the hard way that grit gets you started, but systems will get you free. I'm Johnny Terra, and this is the Trust Engine Podcast. We're here to build a service business that scales like a machine and sells like a person. Let's get to work. You in your truck right now, aren't you? Driving from one client to the next. Or maybe you were in the treadmill, trying to sweat it out the stress of the day before it even starts. You've got that lukewarm coffee in the console. Your phone is buzzing with notifications you are trying to ignore, and your mind is a battlefield. You are replaying the meeting you just left. Did I say the right things? Did I price it too high? Did I price it too low? While at the same time prepping for the one you're driving to. You are thinking about that invoice that's 30 days past due, the proposal you need to finish tonight, and the fact you promised your kids you would be home for dinner. You were successful, right? People look at you and see the business owner, the expert, the guy who is crushing it. But in the quiet of this commute, you know the truth. You feel like a fraud. You feel like one dropped client, one missed deadline, one bad month could bring the whole thing crashing down. Because the entire business rests on one person. You. If that sounds familiar, it's because you've been fed the great lie of modern entrepreneurship, that the hustle is a badge of honor. I'm here to tell you it's not. It's a failure of systems. In this first episode, we're going to dismantle that lie. We are going to redefine what trust actually is in a business, and I'm going to give you the foundational blueprint for an engine that builds that trust for you so you can finally get free. My story isn't a Silicon Valley fairy tale, or it didn't start in the boardroom. It started in 2008, stepping off a plane from Brazil into Texas with a basketball scholarship. I had $200 in my pocket, and I had no idea how to speak a word of English. Failure wasn't a possibility. It was an existential threat. So I did the only thing I knew how to do, to hustle. And I did, all the time. I was the captain of the basketball team, a position of leadership, but I was also the guy in the laundry room at midnight washing the team's uniforms just to afford groceries. After college, I landed my first accounting job, and for 5 months, I didn't have a car. My commute was a 12-block walk, rain or shine. I would wear running shoes and carry my dress shoes in a backpack, changing on the steps of the office building so I can look apart. I remember my shirt sticking to my back before I would even made it 2 blocks away from my apartment. That walk wasn't a choice. It was a necessity. And people in the office noticed. There is this guy who walks 12 blocks. It built a reputation. It built trust. And it screamed, this guy is reliable. And that reliability trap is seductive. You start to believe your willingness to suffer is your greatest asset. It leads you to make bad decisions. I remember taking on a client in my early days. Let's call him Richie, because he paid well. But my gut screamed, no. He was demanding, disrespectful to my process, and every interaction felt like a battle. But I needed the money. That 18% interest on my car loan wasn't going to pay itself. So I did the work. I hustle, I stay up late, and I put out every fire he started. I delivered. But the cost was immense. My other clients suffered. My family suffered. My health suffered. I was succeeding, but I was miserable. The work ethic had become a weapon pointed directly at my own freedom. That's the reality of a business built on grit alone. You are the only tool in the toolbox, and you're getting worn down to nothing. This all came to a turning point in the pantry office. For 5 years, that little room was the official home office of my firm, Terra. It was the only place I could work without my wife and kids disturbing me. My schedule was the definition of grit and hustle. I would be in there from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., then race to my corporate job from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then I was back in the pantry from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. and sometimes midnight. That room was my world, and I was surrounded by cereal boxes and cans of soup. One night, it was almost 11 p.m. I was starting at this horribly complex partnership tax return. The numbers were swimming in front of my eyes. The house was quiet, except for one sound. I could hear my wife laughing with one of our kids who had gotten out of bed. A real, deep, joyful laugh. It hit me like a physical blow. I was 20 feet away, but I might as well have been on another planet. I was the architect of my family's financial security, but I was completely absent from its joy. I had built a cage, gilded with success, and locked myself inside. My identity was so wrapped up in being the guy who outworks everyone that I didn't know who I would be if I stopped. If I wasn't the hustler, who was I? That was the moment the myth shattered. Working like this wasn't a badge of honor. It was a strategic failure. My relentless effort was a sign of my lack of systems. And I knew with absolute certainty, if I did not build a machine to do the work, I would be the machine for the rest of my life. And that brings us to trust. In a world of AI, automation, and digital noise, the ability to build genuine human trust is the single greatest competitive advantage for a service business. And we've been taught a broken model of trust. That realization forces you to rethink everything, especially trust. We think trust is built through grand gestures, heroic efforts. We are taught the trust fall model, a big, dramatic moment of proof. That ridiculous team building exercise where you stand on a table, close your eyes, and fall backwards, hoping your colleagues catch you. It's the perfect metaphor for everything that is wrong with the hustle approach to trust. My Richie client, my 12-block walk, those were trust falls, and they are fundamentally broken way to run a business. They're exhausting, unscalable, and they attract the wrong people. Real trust, the kind that builds a sustainable business, isn't a fall. It's an engine, a system that runs quietly, consistently, and reliably in the background. And it has 3 core components. The first one is consistency. Imagine 2 contractors. Contractor A calls you once, spends an hour on the phone, and promises you the world. You feel great. Then you don't hear from him for 2 weeks. Contractor B sends you a simple 2-paragraph email every Friday at 4 p.m. with a status update. No drama, no grand gestures, just a predictable report. Who do you think you will trust more by week 4? Contractor B, every time. The system is what guarantees that 4 p.m. Friday email goes out, whether you're in a meeting or in a vacation. That's systematized consistency. The number 2 is competence. Competence isn't just being good at your job. It's building a system that only allows you to do the work you're great at for the people who value it the most. The lessons from my Richie client wasn't to work harder. It was to build a client intake system so bulletproof that a client like that never, ever even gets a proposal from me. A system that protects your competence is the ultimate form of quality control. And that makes us move to the number 3, transparency. This is the scariest one. And it's the most powerful one. It's not about protecting perfection. It's about owning your failures. I once made a mistake that cost a client 4 figures. Lots of money. My stomach was in a knot. The old me would have tried to fix it quietly. The new me picked up the phone immediately and said, I messed up. Here's what happened. Here's how I'm fixing it. And here are the system I've built to ensure it never happens again. That single act of radical transparency built more trust than 100 perfect projects. He's still my client today. So consistency, competence, transparency. That's the engine. It's not sexy. It's not that American dream montage where you're expecting to melt your life into the hustle. It's the quiet, relentless hum of a machine that builds trust while you sleep. Building my business around this principle changed everything. The trust I built through relentless hustle got me the opportunity to partner in a 30-year-old firm managing a team of 20 people overnight. But it was the systems I immediately started building, the trust engine, that allow me to handle that scale without collapsing. It allowed me to stop being the guy in the pantry and start being the CEO. To stop washing the laundry and start coaching the team. It gave me back my time, my energy, and my presence as a husband and a father. Freedom isn't about not working. It's about working on what matters. And it's about having the mental space in your commute to think about the future of your business, not just the next fire you have to put out. It's about building a legacy, not just a job for yourself. And that's the promise of this podcast. We believe in action over theory. Every episode will give you a piece of the machine. If you're ready to move from the reluctant hustler to the intentional operator, if you're ready to build a business that serves your life instead of consuming it, then hit that subscribe button. And here's my challenge to you. Picture one person in your life you trust completely. A coworker, a client, a friend. What is this one small, consistent action they take that earns that trust? Whatever that action is, that's your model. That's your first step. Replicate that principle in your own business this week. That is your first gear in your new trust engine. Wow, we cover a lot today, guys. But remember, action over theory. Don't just listen, execute. Go build the machine so you don't have to be the machine. If you found value, the best way to support the Trust Engine podcast is to leave a rating and review on your platform. And if you know of another entrepreneur trapped in the hustle, share this episode with them. You can find the show notes and the systems we discuss here at trustenginepodcast.com. Hey, you still there? Good. That tells me you are serious about this. You're not just listening for fun, you are looking for the blueprint. So for those of you who stuck around, I want to give you the first key to get you out of that pantry. I've put together a simple 3-question guide I call the Pantry Audit. It's not a long PDF or a complicated course. It's an email. It's a diagnostic tool designed to help you identify the single biggest bottleneck in your business right now. The one task that is keeping you trapped. This is not on the website. The only way to get it is to prove you heard this. Here's what I want you to do. If you're driving, pull over for a second. Open your email app on your phone and send a blank email to me at hello@trustenginepodcast.com. The subject line has to be exact, just 3 words, the pantry key. That's it. No message needed. When I see that subject line, I'll know you are one of us, and I will personally reply to the 3-question pantry audit. This is your first step to real action. Action over theory. Let's get you out of that pantry.